Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. I'm Matt, that's Alonso. This is Kim joining us from Nerd Alert. I'm gonna talk some shit today, absolutely. News broke this weekend that Harvey Weinstein has been fired from the Weinstein Company over allegations of continued sexual harassment and evidence of settlements, multi-$1,000, like $100,000 settlements over the years.
And payoffs to the Manhattan District Attorney.
People like Rose McGowan,
Ashley
Judd. Rose McGowan has gone on to say today that she thinks the whole board of the Weinstein Company should step down. I can't disagree. You can't tell me at least Bob doesn't know what his brother's doing. So one of the look, this story is going to get covered a lot. And there's gonna be a lot of people outraged, and there should be outrage, but this is the kind of bullshit that we see in our own industry. And we just saw Sunday night that Andy Signore got fired from Defy Media. He created Screen Junkies, and Defy owns Screen Junkies. And back in August, April Dawn had gone to Defy Media's HR and said something, and it wasn't until she went public that they decided to do anything.
Right.
And JTE, who I know from competing with on the Schmodown, has said that has gone on record, I believe, as alleged that there would have been possible retaliation if they had gone public.
He said he would have been fired if she had revealed her story.
Yeah. Right, and so for Defy Media to today go and maintain like we have no tolerance for that. Bullshit, buddies, bullshit, sorry. Like,
I have a friend I'd like to recommend whose Twitter feed you follow, and her name is Danny Fernandez. Andy told people to watch out for her, specifically because she's very vocal about abuse and about feeling threatened as a woman in this industry or not standing up for being threatened. And I agree with her with this. I think the Defy HR department should be fired because they are saying things now like, oh, we didn't know. The new things came out to us. But the thing is, they had all those cards. They had them and they did nothing. Right. Danny has checked on it, April has checked on it, Emma knows. They knew all this stuff and they still didn't do anything until they were publicly embarrassed.
Right. So go ahead.
I think we're at the beginning of a much larger conversation that I'm glad is happening, because in the past few weeks we've had Cinefamily, and then Devin Faraci and Harry Knowles.
We need to talk about that one.
At Draft House, Harvey Weinstein, Andy Signore. Like, this is a thing that is going on that finally, for whatever reason, the accusers are being taken seriously, and these accusations are having some impact. And so, yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of. There's going to be more heads are going to roll because I think more people are going to feel comfortable talking about this stuff. And I think that we need to have a larger conversation about why these people get away with this stuff for so long and who around them isn't speaking up.
I think a lot of it is fear. I mean, not just the victims being scared, but the people around the creeps, the abusers, who are like, well, his sense of humor is just like that. He's just flirty. Or maybe, in the people like JTE who could be fired, who maybe don't have the strongest footing in this industry, who are getting started, who need to build something for themselves. And this could all be ruined if you don't acquiesce this.
Sure, I'm not saying everybody who knows, didn't have some reason like that.
No.
But there are, I think, people who look the other way or don't,
I think there are some people on that staff who have said they didn't know, but they knew. I'm not gonna name names because I don't have the evidence with me, but that's just what I think.
So I wanna talk about Alamo, right? Because this is the thing that I find really disturbing, or one of the things I find really disturbing, is when it came to light. So first of all, a few months back, was it a year ago? A year ago, there were accusations, there was an accusation against Devin Faraci about sexual assault. And he immediately stepped down from running Birth Movies Death. And initially in a tweet seemed to have at least said, I don't remember this, but have to believe you.
And I'm so sorry.
And so sorry, and at least acknowledged the potential of that behavior. Now, to his credit, he acknowledged that, unlike a lot of people who will deny that sort of thing. And he stepped down from his very public position. And then Tim League, we find out later, has quietly hired him back.
Which is stupid, because there's a byline.
Right.
We're gonna read it.
Well, but for a while he was writing
that.
But for a while he's working from home, writing copy, not credited. And
but people were saying he was still in group emails like almost immediately thereafter.
Which is infuriating, like that Tim League would do that quietly, thinking that, first of all, that no one's gonna find out. Then we come to find out that when Harry Knowles pulls out of Fantastic Fest, because the Faraci stuff comes to light, then we get a bunch of accusations about Harry from 4 different women that have gone on record about this, 2 of which worked for Alamo over the years.
And talked to the leagues about it.
Jasmine Baker and Jill Lewis both worked for Alamo, and so you can't tell me Tim, who founded Fantastic Fest with Harry, didn't know about this. And so what's infuriating is that this is how this behavior gets perpetuated, because somebody who stands to materially benefit from Harry staying in business, from Devin continuing to work, sweeps it under the rug. Because it shows that, and I, look, yes, okay, great, Tim's going branch to branch to make statements and say, hey, everybody, this is how we act. Put your money where your mouth is, pal. Like, it is shockingly disappointing that he is still involved in that company, and it's real tempting to say, honestly, he should step down, because.
I remember when the Devin stuff first happened, and he stepped down, and he said he was going into rehab and all that. There was this conversation in some quarters of like, well, what would it take for him to come back? Like, what is the appropriate time away? What is the appropriate level of, apologies or of self-reflection or whatever? And nobody even got to answer that question, because apparently within weeks he was rehired by Draft House and was working there, like in a skulky way, and it didn't come out until his name was on Fantastic Fest this year. So it was like, that would have maybe been sort of a test case of figuring out like, what, is there a way back from this sort of thing, or are you done? But we won't know, because he never left.
I think it has been in the past. I mean, we forgive our politicians so quickly for these things. We forgive CEOs. Or do we forgive them? Because they just seem to get forgiven by some group in charge who's willing to sweep it under the rug, which is a disservice and a disrespectful choice.
It is. We have to wrap this up. I hope that this is a conversation that gets continued to have. A couple things I want to leave people with is that if you are somebody who has been in this position, that you have been harassed, and especially to our colleagues in the media, and you feel like you need a safe space to bring it to light, I'd like to say that What the Flick is here to give you that platform. The other thing, look, kids, don't talk about having sex at work, maybe. Maybe, don't tell people you want to have sex with them in a work environment, especially when you have power. Maybe that's obvious.
And if you're a boss and you get an email about this sort of thing,
take it seriously.
Don't respond to the person by saying, yeah, could you please not tell anybody else about this?
Right. So this will be an ongoing thing. Again, we have to wrap up, but disappointing. And I want to see people get fired over this.
This isn't over.
This isn't over.